Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much, Mr. Senator. Thank you, Fadi. Thank you, my friend, Minister Abdul Ati, and thanks to all the present former ministers, ambassadors, senators, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to draw the attention away from the Nile Basin. I would like to express my full solidarity with the position of Egypt, with the position of my friend, the minister from Egypt, in expressing their concern and their approach that's very cooperative, that's very open towards a sustainable use of shared water. But I use this opportunity to announce, thanks to Fadi and his team, that next year such an event is going to be focused on the Euphrates and Tigris. We are in a very similar situation like our Egyptian friends as a downstream country, but we also suffer a lot of pressures on our water. So just if you allow me a few minutes for a few slides to give us seeds, we have 12 months to think about, so that our contribution next year is to enhance what I am presenting right now. While the Euphrates and Tigris water basin, you can see that is being shared by more than one country, mostly with Turkey, Syria, and Iran. And I have put at the top corner and the bottom left-hand side corner some statistics as to the contribution of neighboring countries to water. You see at the bottom left, the Euphrates River is dramatic, where more than 97% of it also comes from outside our borders. And the Tigris is a little better. We produce basically from both rivers 30% of our water use from inside our territory and 70% from outside. There are some statistics also, like the Tigris annual average flow historically was about 50 billion. In the last 25 years, now we are about 30 billion, so we lost 20 billion in 2 decades. Similar trend in the Euphrates River, where we used historically to receive on average 30 billion, now we receive like 16. This is one thing that is very close to my heart and to the heart of people from UNESCO as well. This is a satellite picture in 1970 of the Mesopotamian marshlands in southern Iraq. This is an area, this is natural status of the marshes that we managed to register on the World Heritage List last year. The area of which the green is water, and the reddish area is deep water, basically. So there's plenty of water there, and it covers an area of 15 to 20,000 square kilometer, which is nearly twice as much as the area of Lebanon. So the Tigris and the Euphrates meets at the southern Iraq, and they form the Shatt al-Arab waterway. This is very unique water body, very unique hydrologic formation, an ecosystem. This is the biggest in Western Asia, and this is right at the border of the empty quarter. This is a world of water where the first human civilization was established, the Sumerian civilization. So, and it's formed by the confluence of 4 major rivers, that is the Euphrates, the Tigris, the Karkha River that originates in Iran, and the Karon River also originates in Iran. This was drained, basically 90% of it at the hand of the former dictator, and post-2003 Iraq, we managed to restore this good part of it, and we managed also to enlist this site as a World Heritage, so it belongs to the world, not only to the Iraqis, and therefore we need to allocate some water for this, for the sustainability of this system in Iraq. Some characteristics of the hydrology in our country also. You see in the months of between March and June, 70% of water occurs during those 3 months. And when the maximum demand on irrigation between July and September, we only received 10% of that water, and 20% between October and February. Some pictures from the marsh areas there, but we have high seasonal flow, so that's why, in fact, Iraq developed its infrastructure, control structure, well ahead of our neighboring countries. So the entire water in the river basin used to come through Iraq and to the Gulf until late 70s, mid 80s. This is an illustration of the inflows through the Tigris River. And you see in the last like 20, 30 years, there is a big drop in average flow that comes to our country. And this is the Tigris River, which is less developed in terms of water control structures in neighboring countries. And the Euphrates is more dramatic, where we lost really more than 50% of its inflows to our country. And this is, well, shared water resources, competition versus cooperation. You see these development, water resource development projects in the riparian countries, very dramatic, very intensive network of controlled structure. So no natural flow anymore in our systems. Everything is controlled. Basically, in the Euphrates River, every drop is controlled. It has to be released somewhere before it moves forward. The Tigris will be fully controlled soon, starting March 2018, where the Turkish authorities, President Erdogan himself, informed us during a high official visit headed by the Prime Minister, Dr. Haidar Abadi, that Eliso Dam, which is the biggest dam on the Tigris River, will be augmented starting March. And March, if you remember the previous slide, where the start of inflows of the snow melt takes place. So if they start augmenting in March, we will be left without water coming to us through the Tigris. So it's very, very, we are very concerned about this. This is an illustration of the Euphrates River. You see the natural flow versus controlled flow. The blue color before the dam, you see between March and July, we have this hydrograph where the flood takes place after the snow melt, and then it's dry season, then flood season, and so on. But after the development of the dam, we lose that peak. And that peak, the loss of that peak, means loss of biodiversity, loss of social and economic opportunities for people. So this is very dramatic, particularly big dams. Big dams has a lot of negative impact on river system. Well, and then we end up, before I go there, I think, excuse me, I said here competition versus cooperation. We should not compete on water, ladies and gentlemen. Competition always is about who comes first. Like whether it is racing or you know, in any kind of sport, if you compete with others, so you come first. But when it comes to water, we should not compete, we should cooperate. So because there is no winning, you cannot win at the expense of your neighbor. So this is a very important concept, because I hear a lot of the use of the word competition when it comes to shared water resources. Is no good to propagate this, is no good to always use it. We should be against competition on water resources. We reverse to cooperation. Daesh, ISIS, came to us in 2014, and it occupied major water infrastructure in Iraq. And the use of water infrastructure as a weapon, actually it was an example, a clear example by Daesh. This is Ramadi Barrage on the Euphrates River. This is a beautiful barrage to control water, built in the 50s and still functions perfectly until Daesh destroyed it. On the picture on the right-hand side, I have so many pictures of destruction of water infrastructure in Iraq. Our initial estimation is that we lost only on the Euphrates River, something like $600 million of repair we needed. Now, of course, we have international communities engaged now, but the work is not very easy, but we managed with our own resources to bring back this structure and many other structures like Fallujah Barrage back into operation with less efficiency, of course, but now we are taking up this opportunity with the World Bank and donor countries to rehabilitate these structures to well, a better state of usability. Water diplomacy. Well, this year there was more attention given to water with our neighboring countries. Our relation with Turkey is a little different than our relation with Iran. The last visit by the Prime Minister, I was with him to Turkey. Water came first in the issues of concerns between the two countries, and there we were informed that the Aliso Dam would be filled in March, and our position is to try to defer that filling like 2 or 3 months from March so that we can fill our dams. Otherwise, it will be really tragic in our country. The other picture is our delegation in Tehran, where we also discussed water in a different environment. Of course, Iraq-Iran relation now is very strong. They are very friendly countries fighting terrorism, but we have some sticking points there regarding our relation with Iran based on 1975 agreement, and then the water issue is not priority maybe for the Iranian side, but of course it is a priority for us. We need a lot of work there, but we spare no efforts whatsoever to turn the currently very good relations between Iran and Turkey into a productive, water-wise speaking, in terms of long-term agreement on the water. Still there is a lot of difficulties there, but economically we are very well integrated, of course, always to the benefit of our neighbors. But Iraq, as most of you followed 2 days ago, we announced the liberation of our entire country from the terrorist organization Daesh, and now we are determined to bring peace, stability, and prosperity to our region, and this is the line that our government is taking. Thank you.